I'm Nick Hughes, and this is Founders Live Conversations.
Welcome to Founders Live Conversations.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Nick.
Alex Jiao, CEO of Silene Biotech. Thank you for joining me. This is awesome. I've been wanting to chat with you for a long time. You're a past winner of Founders Live Seattle, which we'll touch on in a second. But just thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, no, this is a cool opportunity. I think it's always important for founders to share their stories. I learned from a ton of great founders myself, so if anybody can get any benefit from my mistakes or the lessons I've learned, I'd love to help some people
Absolutely.
out. So, yeah.
To go back, what I want to do is start, where did you grow up and how did you get into, starting your first company in Silene especially?
Yeah, so I grew up in the Midwest, Michigan, and I was always interested in science. In particular, when I was in high school, there was this concept of a stem cell, and that was kind of making waves at the time as a cell that could repair your body, turn into other cell types. And I thought that was just really fascinating, the ability for us to potentially treat ourselves using our own cells. So I've always had this interest, and during undergrad, I went out to Northwestern in Evanston, Illinois, and I was finally able to do some research, and it was just, it was awesome. I was solving problems, I was doing experiments, so decided to get my PhD. So I moved out here to Seattle, attended the University of Washington, and got my PhD in bioengineering. And that's when I really started to dive deep into the science. We were working with patients, and we were taking their stem cells and turning them into pieces of the heart. So I was like, this is insane. Technology has advanced way farther than I thought it ever would, and now I'm able to actually engineer pieces of the heart from a patient.
Man,
could we help people out with this? So that's really kind of where the concept.
That's
happened.
crazy.
Yeah.
So walk me through what was it in your PhD?
Yeah.
Was there like a moment where you're just like, oh my God, like this is the science and the technology that I want to take to the world?
Yeah, definitely. I think that moment happens for everybody doing heart research because heart cells beat. So if you ever do cell culture, most cells just kind of sit around. I mean, you like look at a picture and it's just, it's a blob. But the first time I was able to take a stem cell and turn it into a heart cell, it actually beats on its own, and you see it. And that was like, that's crazy. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So I think for me, that was the first time I was able to get heart cells out of a stem cell and just looked at them in a dish and thought, wow, this could be life-changing for somebody in like 5 or 10 years. So
that is so incredibly powerful.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the fact that you are seeing this, it's like life, right?
Right.
Like it's coming to life.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, so from there, how did you start the company? Let's go through was there like an absolute, obviously you had kind of an epiphany in your schooling, but like connect the dots to then starting this company.
Yeah, definitely. So at the UW, there's like a great infrastructure for like pitching ideas and getting feedback, and Seattle itself as a city has just great community and hub. So right around the end of my PhD, I was thinking, okay, do I want to go into like become a professor? Do I want to try to get a job in industry? Or what is this like startup idea? So I started taking classes and started pitching at university competitions to get feedback. The cool thing about the UW is they actually will give you money if they think your idea is good enough, and you can just use it as like really early seed funding to market test an idea or something. So when I went out and actually started pitching this, and people were like, hey, it sounds crazy, but it sounds really interesting, and not only that, like I want to be a customer. That's when I was like, maybe there's some legs to this. Maybe there's an opportunity to like create a company out of this and help some people.
Right.
So,
and let's go into give us the pitch. Like, what exactly is Silene Biotech, and also what are you really trying to solve?
Right. So, what we're trying to solve is essentially democratization of stem cell technology. And I know that sounds like a mouthful, and what we really mean by that is, given the advancements in the field where we can use stem cells and cells in therapy, we're going to make some incredible improvements to treat diseases in the future. But a lot of us aren't going to be able to access them because we'll get too old and our cells won't be of use. They'll be damaged or they won't function. So instead, we're going to miss out potentially on some of these life-changing technologies. So the concept that we're trying to solve is, we want everyone to have access to this. We want everyone to be able to use their own cells and these cutting edge technologies and improve their life and hopefully live longer and healthier. So that's our mission.
You're saving cells. You're actually freezing these stem cells. And how do you do that?
So we do it through what we call like a low volume blood draw. So in our bodies, there's like stem cells in every tissue, and in your blood there's a lot of stem cells as well. So we can pull blood from your body, not a ton, and then we can actually concentrate the stem cells down and freeze them. And the freezing process is pretty straightforward. You have to do it in a particular way with particular reagents, but you can actually keep those cells in a deep freeze, and then you can thaw them up many years later and they'll still be okay.
Yeah.
And we've done this with my blood and other people's blood. And
my blood?
Yeah, your blood. Yeah, exactly. So we will do a freeze thaw cycle. We'll make sure that people's cells look good, and then we'll keep them long term for everybody.
And so how safe is it? Can I trust that your company is taking care of my security and my cells?
Right. So that's a great question. So privacy, security, and also like the regulatory landscape. These are things that we all had to be very cautious about and very careful about when we wanted to offer this service. So on the regulatory side, we actually registered with the FDA. We went through, we looked at all the requirements for how do we process cells, how do we do what's called a chain of custody to make sure that nick cells never get lost or mixed up with somebody else's cells, because you need to have access to your cells in the future. So we have what's called a quality assurance program we implemented, and we ended up getting audited by some consultants, and they were like, you're good to go. So we registered with the FDA. So everything's being handled appropriately. In terms of security and privacy, we also have built-in protocols where your cells, once they've left your body and we're processing them, we de-identify them, meaning we don't have any identifiable information on the cells themselves. So that means whoever, like our storage partners, can't say that this is Nick's cells. They don't know whose cells these are. So you get that privacy from your actual cells. And the only person that has that information, the only people that do are you and us, that we keep in a secure database.
Right.
So
walk me through 5-10 years in the future, if I need to access these cells, if I want to, walk me through that process of how that would work.
So right now, if you need to use your cells, we just kind of do this concierge style. You contact us, we help you figure out, is the use case of the cells appropriate? Because there is a lot of misinformation, there's a lot of people claiming, that they can use your cells, and we want to make sure that what you're using them for is a viable or authorized use. That's today, that's again more concierge style, but in 5 or 10 years, it's going to be pretty routine. We actually think basically you'll just go on your customer profile, you'll have to validate your identity. Obviously you can't just log on and we'll send your cells off, but once that's happened, you basically click a button and we'll deliver them to your healthcare provider. So I think that's where technology is heading, is just being able to make things very convenient for our customers.
And so is it you'll deliver them to the healthcare provider based on like if I'm going to have a procedure done?
Right.
So I'm not even really I'm not dealing with them in the mail. It's they're going to be delivered to the clinic or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our goal is, this is really consumer focused, where there's a lot of complexities around again regulatory or the science or even what technologies are available. So we're trying to streamline that process. Ideally, we'd have like a list of here are all the available like therapies or providers that we partner with, and you just press a button and everything else will be handled. We'll be shipping them to them. We'll make sure that they're screened appropriately, and we'll make sure that it's received and characterized and used correctly. So the idea for you is that you'll have the information of what's going on, but it should be digestible, and it shouldn't be very difficult for you to be able to access and use your own cells.
Right. So what do you tell people that would maybe be afraid to do this or have concerns? You obviously probably get those. So what sort of responses do you have with that?
Yeah, I think it's always good to be cautious. This isn't like an old established technology that you can go down and get a newspaper. It's something that's very new and cutting edge, and as a result, people are a little concerned about what's going to happen in the future and what are the risks to me. So what we try to do is we try to be as transparent as possible, and we also try to educate. And we say here are all the use cases today. Here's what's in the pipeline. Yeah. Here's how we do our security. Here's how we do our privacy. And for risks, we also upfront. It is a blood draw. There is a needle involved, but at the same time, there are alternatives which go through your bone marrow. Then you need a huge needle and go into your bone. And we decided, we want to minimize the risk to the consumer. So we don't want a giant needle going into your hip. But we also need to make sure that the quality and the amount of cells we can collect is sufficient. So we went with a blood draw versus like a cheek swab or a urine sample.
And in the future, do you see this being pretty commonplace? Which is, what I mean is having a stem cell somewhere where if I'm going to have a procedure, it's just almost like, I get an eye exam every 2 years and they have the prescription there. Like, do you imagine it's almost that commonplace in the future?
Yeah, I think we're going to head there, and it just depends on when that will happen. Is it 10 years off or 30 years off? But if you think about most of the big scary diseases out there right now, they're scary because there's not really a good outcome for people to take care of them, right? So, if you get a headache, you just take ibuprofen, and you wouldn't die of a headache, but there's things you can do if you have specific conditions like arthritis, though, where you don't really have a great cure. Your knees will hurt forever if you're older. Here's an opportunity for us to really, like, once and for all end that pain and restore that function. So, for an individual, and once they're getting older and these different parts of their body are shutting down, I think that this will become much more commonplace because that's the only way for them to get relief or to improve their quality of life. So, is it going to be as common as taking aspirin or ibuprofen? I don't think it'll ever get to that point because this is a technology, this is a therapy. But I think for people who are want to live healthier and longer, this will become a much more common procedure, maybe as similar to like a mastectomy now, for women who have breast cancer.
Yeah.
It's not a very serious procedure, it's pretty routine, and there's a high success rate for that. So,
what I'm really excited about to talk about is we have recently partnered and we're talking about how we can bring this to many more people, and especially entrepreneurs and founders. So, tell us what you would like to bring to this group, the Founders Live community, and why it should be important.
Yeah, so Founders Live is a great community. I think I mentioned this to you in person, but founders are almost the ideal first customer, right? We know what's so important about customer feedback, about the user experience. We're motivated to form new partnerships, new avenues that you might have never thought of before. So we're really targeting founders as our first customers. This is a new service. And because of that, we're willing to offer a 10% discount to anybody that is associated with Founders Live because we want to incentivize people to not only do this for their own health, but to be our first customers and to provide that feedback. Is there opportunities for us to improve our user experience? Is there a cool integration that we can add that our founders are really interested in? Founders are on the cutting edge of technology, of science, and working with them will only help accelerate and refine our product.
Thank you so much for offering that.
Yeah.
I really think it's amazing, and we talked about this before, but when you think about what really made sense to me is it's almost like an insurance policy. And when I look at it, and if they're being fairly young now, I'm a little bit further along, but being still fairly young, being able to grab those stem cells now and put them away. And I don't know what's going to happen in 5, 10, 20 years.
Right.
But I can tell you that at least those stem cells are there. And I view, when as the founder and owner of this company now, I do have a more responsibility. Whether you believe that or not as a founder is your choice. But it's not just you and your life. Your life and your ability to stay healthy, it has impact on maybe hundreds or thousands or millions of people.
Yeah.
So the way that we look at it here and through Founders Live in this partnership is it's actually providing a really awesome opportunity for individuals that are leading their company and their business to actually almost put a little insurance policy there.
For sure, yeah. I think self-care for founders is something that unfortunately gets overlooked a lot. You're right. You start a company, you hire people, you're increasing, you're helping the economy, you're creating jobs, and you have people you're supporting, and at the very top, it's important that us founders take care of ourselves as well too. And self-care through mental health and physical health is really important. So that's one of the other ways that we think founders are especially important, is that we're going to go through more stress probably than most other professions. Don't get very much sleep. We have emails and investors to answer. So while all that's happening, if you can bank a portion of your cells that could help you out in the future, that will provide you a lot of benefit in the future once you've got more people to take care of.
And so the plan is to obviously offer it, available, but this is something that has to be interacted with clearly, like there's a blood draw.
Right.
So what is the plan to roll this out? We talked about cities and whatnot with the events that happen, but how do you see that rolling out to the individuals that are probably watching this?
Right. So right now we are only available in a couple of regions, specifically the Seattle or Pacific Northwest region, and we've got some access in the Bay Area as well too. For us, initially, what we'll probably do is we'd love to go out, visit, travel to these cities, and we'll host these pop-ups where we can come out, fly a phlebotomist that we work with out there, and get to meet the founders, get some feedback, and also provide more details. But eventually what we will be doing is establishing kind of our channel partners. We're working with physicians right now, a bunch here and some across the country. And the idea then is that these physicians can also kind of offer this as part of their service, or if you wanted to go get your blood drawn, a physician or donor center, you could just go there and get our service there. So right now in the near future, more like pop-ups, but ideally maybe in a year or two out, we'll probably have actual partners that will be able to do the service.
And so no matter where someone lives, how should they at least get in touch with you and find out more information?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they visit our website, silenebiotech.com, we have a lot of information there that can answer most of the questions, but more importantly, we have a way for you to get in contact with us, and we love to do phone consultations. I and Yuli and a couple other members of the team, Lena, we like to talk to potential customers, inform them, and help get in contact with with anybody who's interested and answer what questions they might have. So if people are interested elsewhere, they can just get in contact with us through our website, and that's probably the most convenient way of doing it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think I'm excited as we look at these other cities and the pop-ups at the events. We did the first one a couple of weeks ago at Seattle, and it was really good, great success. I know that there's a ton of people that were pumped about it. So we will be doing those in other cities. I'm excited about that. I want to shift a little bit. So you did win, which was an awesome experience in itself. Describe your experience pitching at a Founders Live event and then actually being the winner of the night.
Yeah, so Founders Live obviously is awesome. I wouldn't be here if I didn't love what you're doing and what you put together. 99 seconds is amongst the fastest pitches I've ever had to give. And what's kind of cool is that you don't have to worry about like the financials or the growth projections or all not the boring stuff, but all the stuff that is not really core to your story. The story is what's important. So in 99 seconds, you should be able to communicate to a bunch of people, the problem you're solving and why they should do it, or what you're doing about it, and for us, why they should do it, and the personal aspect. So it was challenging, definitely. I like to talk, so 99 seconds was a really short time limit, but it was really exciting. It was pretty nerve-wracking. The quality of the other companies were really great. I know a few of them already. They went through Techstars as well too, and winning was really cool. You get to go back, you get to kind of talk a little bit more about what you're doing, answering questions, and afterwards we've made a ton of connections as well too. I think the value really of events like Founders Live is the people that you meet there. So I met Jamie at a Founders Live event. Now she works with us, and she's been a huge asset to the team. So if it weren't for Founders Live and being able to pitch there, we would be sans one team member.
If you could sum up just one, if you did one thing that you're like, like I chose to do that and it really helped me as a concise pitch, and in the end actually winning it, is there one thing that comes to mind that you actually added to your pitch that really helped?
I would say for me in particular, it's just doing it like over and over with people who have seen a lot of pitches or experienced. So there's not one particular thing, but I mean practice probably. Find somebody who's done a pitch in different formats in 99 seconds or a few minutes, and say, hey, do you mind if I run my pitch by you, and is it clear, is it captivating? And that feedback alone and practicing it a bunch can be really helpful, especially with the timing.
Right. Okay, so in terms of founder experience, I love to talk with founders, but I also really like to just go into just the psychology of it, man. And that's part of the reason why I started Founders Live. Is I believe that a lot of the challenging negative stuff is pushed under the rug, and everyone shouts about a fundraise or an acquisition. How have you dealt with the ups and downs of being a founder? The every day it's 100 emails, maybe 500. I don't know how many you get, but how do you deal with just the massive intensity of it?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and I think everybody's different. And again, back to that self-care, I think that's really important as well too. One of the things I always say is being a founder is just absolute roller coaster. You'll feel incredible when you have your wins, and if you lock down an important customer, or if you're closing a round, it's just like, I did it. But then every rejection, even if you were like, that person was never going to invest, or that fund wasn't even on our radar, really sucks. And like there's just so many different battles that it is exhausting sometimes. So for me, really, self-care is really important. I go to the gym whenever I'm stressed out, and that helps so much. When there's a bad day of rejections, I just take a walk. It's something to just give yourself a little bit of peace of mind, is really focus on yourself. Maybe cook, maybe go to the gym, maybe do some yoga. But I think taking like an hour each day and just really focusing on yourself, away from the emails, not worrying about that stuff, and being able to kind of reset is kind of how I keep my sanity.
One of the things that I've done that is incredibly effective for me is I actually am very purposeful on when I shut it down for the night. I know some people, they can work till 12, 1 in the morning. That's great if that's their thing. But what I've realized from even just a life balance is I actually purposely shut down, have dinner, spend time with my girlfriend or whatever it needs to be. But I have to do that. The reason why is because those emails are going to still be in your box tomorrow.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's timely responses that need to happen, but I just found that helps to at least monitor the anxiety and the intensity sometimes. Is just know that just cut your day down, start over tomorrow, get back to it. So yeah, that's been really effective for me, and understanding that it's not the hours that you work, it's the effectiveness. So you could work 5-7 hours a day and be incredibly effective versus 12 and maybe not be as effective. So that's what I found that really works. Is there anything else that, in terms of like calendaring and how you actually we have so much stuff flying at us every day. Any other things that you do especially on a calendar or a scheduling basis that helps? Yeah,
I think similar to you, it's learning to balance and when to shut it down. I have a girlfriend. We've been dating like 6 years, so
congratulations.
Yeah, well, I mean, you got to carve out time for personal relationships too. So we have nights where it's just going to be me and Taylor, and we're just going to hang out and watch a movie. And I'm not going to respond to emails, or I'm not going to check my phone. If we're at dinner, we have a no phone rule. You got to put it down and just hang out and not worry about what might be out there. You're right, it'll be there in the morning, or it'll be there like later. So being able to disconnect for at least a little bit and just really focus on yourself or the people around you is what I do. Calendar, I just one day I'll get like an assistant or an AI, but I'm just like whatever, I'll just throw on the calendar and I'll get those alerts.
So me too. And what I've noticed, what I do is the moment I'm booking a meeting in email, I instantly open my phone and just make the calendar. I just do it.
Yeah.
That is just like a routine now. And sometimes I'll just put a question mark by the name, but I make sure that I'm the one putting it in the calendar. And so most of the time I'm not missing any of those things.
Right.
Clearly sometimes it does, but that helps a lot.
Yeah.
So last question. What would you be doing if you were not the CEO and founder of Silene Biotech?
Yeah, so there's two different answers to that. I would say there's like pre-founder Alex, which was, I was really interested in the science. I was really interested in the research, and very few people are, but I love it. I love reading articles. I love running experiments. So if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be in science still. I'd maybe going down professor track, doing what we call a postdoc research fellowship. But now, post-founder Alex, I think there's something to be said about being able to start something and dictate, what you're doing and where the company is going in a direction. And now that I've done this, I don't imagine I could stay, kind of working in some large company or working for a professor forever. So even if I wasn't doing this today, and let's say the company shuts down or I take off, I think it wouldn't be very long until I started another one, because this is really fun, and this is exactly what I like to do.
Oh, so. Man, you got it's addiction.
Yeah.
Huh? It is great. Well, Alex is so great.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for chatting today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.